Have you ever felt like your heart and your head are just in a total tug of war? Well, it turns out that's not just some old saying. It's actually how your brain is wired. Today, we're going to dive into the incredible science behind our two emotional systems. One is ancient and totally instinctual, and the other, it's thoughtful and uniquely human.
Right, so this is the classic dilemma, isn't it? Should you follow your heart or should you listen to your mind? It feels like this big poetic choice. But what if it's not really a choice at all? What if science tells us that both are firing off signals all the time, constantly? Well, that's exactly what we're about to break down. Exactly. The whole heart versus mind debate is getting a major scientific upgrade. See, it's not one or the other, it's both, and they're running at the same time. We've got this lightning fast primal system and then a slower, much more deliberate one. And honestly, understanding how these two interact, well, that's the key to figuring out why we feel the way we do. So let's meet the two players in our head. First up, you've got the automatic system. This is your gut reaction, right? That instant feeling you get before you even have a chance to think. And then there's the reflective system. That's kind of like your inner narrator, the part of you that thinks things through and chews on complex ideas. Let's start with the automatic one, because that's the one that often feels like it's in the driver's seat. All right, first up, the automatic system. You can think of this as the bedrock of our emotional life. It's this ancient machinery that's kept us alive for thousands and thousands of years. It is all about immediate reaction and, you guessed it, survival. So how does this system work so incredibly fast? Well, neuroscientists have a cool name for it. They call it the low road. When you see something or hear something, the information takes a super quick shortcut straight to a part of the brain called the amygdala. That's basically our internal alarm system. The whole process is so fast, it literally bypasses the will. It triggers a reaction before your conscious mind can even catch up. It's why you jump back from a snake before you even consciously think, whoa, that's a snake. And that is the absolute key here. These automatic emotions can just fire off without our permission, sometimes without us even being aware of it. They're the brain's instant relevance detectors, just constantly scanning our environment for threats and for rewards to keep us safe. Okay, so these automatic feelings get triggered in two main ways. Internally, it's all about our basic needs. Feelings like physical pain or the fear of being rejected, those are just alarm bells screaming that something's wrong. Now, on the flip side, that feeling of relief or being accepted into a group tells us our social and physical needs are being met. And then externally, it's about simple pleasure and pain. We feel disgust to avoid something gross or harmful, but we feel sensory pleasure to draw us toward things that are good for us. Pretty simple, right? But that's only half the story. Now we get to move on to our second system. And this is where things get really, really interesting. And frankly, it's what makes our emotional lives so rich and complex. This is the reflective system. So in total contrast to the low road, this is the high road. The very same stimulus now takes a longer, slower route up to the cortex. That's the thinking, reasoning part of our brain. Here, we actually use language and deliberate thought to appraise the situation. And it's only after this careful analysis that we generate an emotion. See the difference? It's not a gut reaction, it's a conclusion. And this is what makes the reflective system so incredibly powerful. It's not just reacting to what's happening in this very second. It generates feelings from abstract ideas, from our values, from reflecting on an old memory, or from imagining a future that doesn't even exist yet. This is where our most complex, most human feelings come from. And the triggers for these emotions are way more abstract. Internally, they're based on our own personal standards. Our idea of the kind of person we want to be. When we fall short of that ideal, we feel shame or guilt. But when we meet it, we feel pride. And externally, the triggers are based on our values, our sense of right and wrong. We feel indignation when we see injustice, but we feel admiration when we see someone do something genuinely good.
Okay, so we've got these two systems, one super fast, one kind of slow. Why does any of this matter in our everyday lives? Well, it fundamentally changes everything about how we make decisions and how we manage our self-control.
Just think about a sentence like this for a second. It's something you might say all the time, right? You admire one thing about a person, but you really dislike another. This kind of complex, nuanced thinking feels totally normal to us, but it's actually an amazing feat that only one of our emotional systems can pull off. And yep, it's something only the reflective system can do. Our automatic system just doesn't operate this way. It can't hold two opposing feelings at the same time. This ability to see the shades of gray, to appreciate complexity, that's a pure product of our higher-level reflective brain.
Here's really the core difference. The automatic system, it thinks in black and white. It gives you a single all-or-nothing verdict. This person is good, this situation is bad. End of story. But the reflective system, it can see in full color. It can separate out the different parts of a situation, which lets us hold complex and even contradictory feelings all at the same time. Now check this out, because this is a crucial finding from the research. When our automatic emotions get triggered, I'm talking intense fear or anger or desire, our self-control, our ability to stop ourselves from acting on impulse, it takes a major hit. Studies actually show that when people are under the influence of these strong automatic emotions, they do way worse on tasks that require cognitive control. The primal brain just temporarily overrides the thoughtful one.
So, knowing all this stuff isn't just some cool piece of brain trivia. It actually gives us a really practical framework for navigating our emotional lives, and even for growing as a person.
We can think about the jobs of our emotions as a kind of hierarchy. The automatic system, it takes care of the basics, the foundational stuff, making sure we survive and pushing us to have a pleasant, rewarding life. But the reflective system, that's what allows us to aim higher, to become a better person based on our own ideals, and even to try and make the world a better place based on our deepest values.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. We are not slaves to our automatic reactions. By understanding these two systems, we get the power to notice when our impulsive, automatic brain is starting to take over. And that gives us a chance to pause, to consciously engage our reflective system, and to choose to act not just on raw impulse, but on our deepest values.
So, that leaves us with a final question for you to think about. In the moments that really define your life, the choices you make under pressure, the way you react to other people, which system is most often in your driver's seat? Is it the automatic low road or the reflective high road? The answer? Well, it might define more about us than we think.